How's it going, guys? Hope everyone is safe and healthy. The 470G7 is HP's entry-level business notebook, sporting a large 17.3-inch display powered by a 10th gen Intel Comet late CPUs and dedicated GPU options. Does it do enough to make a big impact? Let's find out. The 470G7 is gargantuan in size when you lift it out of the box. It's a little thicker at 2.45 centimeters and lighter than the previous gen model, but still weighing in at 2.36 kilograms or 5.2 pounds. Not a laptop to walk around with, let alone carrying it with one hand, unless you're called Arnie. The lid takes two hands to open the single hinge to reveal medieval thick black bezels around the screen. The rest of the 470 is ash silver in colour and made entirely of plastic. Finish is cheap and poor, disappointingly so when you compare it to their other ProBook models. Probably why they dropped the ProBook name with the G7. Also, when filming for this review, scratches appeared on the lid and we were being careful as always. Compared to the previous 470, the bottom plate is a pain to open up for maintenance purposes. Firstly, you have to unscrew the 5 screws shown, then peel off the 2 rubber strips acting as feet to reveal another 6 screws. Turn over the laptop and prise open the keyboard wrist rest from the bottom lid with a plastic tool. Finally, gently lift up the bottom lid to show the internals. Phew. Due to a large amount of space inside the G7, there's plenty of upgrade options. There are 2 RAM slots, one PCIe x2 NVMe M.2 slot, and one 2.5-inch SATA drive bay for additional SSD storage. The battery is removable if required. Not sure why the HP engineers left a huge void where a CD drive would normally go. Why not use the space for a bigger battery or even a secondary M.2 slot? The 17.3-inch Full HD IPS display is the star of the show. The screen ratio is 16:9 with a pixel density of 127 ppi. The viewing angles are very good along with the contrast ratio. The panel has a maximum brightness of 300 nits, useful if using the G7 outdoors. 90% sRGB coverage provides vibrant colours on the non-touchscreen G7 display, allowing a spot of Photoshop or Premiere Pro if your demands are not too high. Most of the connections are found on the left of the 470G7, starting with the AC power, Gigabit RJ45 port, HDMI 1.4, 2 USB 3.1 Gen 1 Type A ports, and a combo audio jack. On the right we have a Kensington lock, USB 2.0 Type A, SD card reader, and 2 LED indicator lights for power and hard drive activity. The G7 supports the new Intel AX201 Wi-Fi 6 2x2 and Bluetooth 5 combo card. Wireless performance was good with testing, and Bluetooth usage with an external speaker was decent and the link never broke. With a laptop of this size, we would naturally expect a full-size textured island-style keyboard with numeric keypad. The keyboard is reasonably good to type on if you're a touch typist. Feedback is good and travel is not bad. On the other hand, the keys are not backlit, noisy while typing, and made of cheap shiny plastic. The enter key is feeble in size considering the large workspace to work on. The same argument can be said of the small touchpad with multi-touch gesture support. The touchpad mouse buttons are loud to tap on and again feel let down by the cheap material used. The touchpad itself is fine to use and sensitive for most applications. The 470G7 dual speakers provide a clear and loud sound from the top-firing speaker grille above the keyboard. Surprisingly, they're not bad for video streaming and conference calls. Talking of conference calls, the 720p HD camera is poor as laptop webcams go. There's no detail whatsoever in the footage, and a single digital microphone is not great for picking up Zoom or Teams calls. Better to find a decent external webcam if you intend on home working post-lockdown. One of the key features of the 470G7 is the use of the Comet late 10th gen Intel CPUs. On this review model, we have the i7-10510U, an upper mid-range laptop processor used in mainstream notebooks like the G7. The base frequency is 1.8 GHz up to 4.9 GHz in turbo boost, pushing 4 cores and 8 threads. In benchmarks, the Intel Core i7-10510U is only slightly faster than the closely related i5-10210U. In comparison to the Intel Core i7-8565U and the i7-8650U 8th gen precursors, the i7-10510U delivers a decently improved benchmark performance. For a 15-watt CPU, it even gets close to the 45-watt 6-core 9th gen i7-9750H. In real-world use, the i7-10510U, along with the 16GB of DDR4 memory and 512GB of PCIe M.2 SSD, can effortlessly handle everyday tasks with ease. The CPU money is on the i5-10210U, as there's about a 10% difference in it, but if you want better performance in heavier duties like Premiere Pro or Adobe Audition, the i7-10510U is a decent choice. HP engineers have throttled the CPU more so under battery power only. To squeeze every ounce of performance, make sure the 470 is plugged in. There is a slight humming noise from the fan while idle, and it dials up sound-wise when it's heavily taxed, not one to take to a quiet library or office environment. Inside you'll see a single thick heat pipe cooling both the CPU and the graphics chip. The temperature on the keyboard can be on the warm side. Nevertheless, the temperatures are very well managed by the throttle management. This review model comes with the integrated Intel UHD Graphics 620 for everyday tasks like office usage and a discrete AMD Radeon 530 graphics. It's a blatant con of HP supplying this GPU, considering it's over 3 years old and not much of a leg up from the UHD 620. A better option would be the newer Radeon 630 or the Nvidia GeForce MX 230. Graphically intensive games such as Dishonored 2, Call of Duty and Infinite Warfare will not play smoothly on the Radeon 530. Less demanding games like Overwatch, FIFA 17 or LOL will run well using low to medium detail settings. The 3-cell 41 Wh battery is average for general usage at 67 hours. Considering the size of the laptop, I would have expected a bigger battery and therefore longer battery life. In fact, compared to the 48 Wh battery in the older G5, this is a smaller battery. Using the G7 on max performance settings, expect 3 to 4 hours of battery life. At least HP provides fast charging with the 65 watt AC power adapter, 0 to 50% within 30 minutes or so. Top 3 pros and cons before buying the HP 470 G7. Large display. This is the main reason why people would buy the 470 G7, so thank goodness it's good. Great for video streaming or productivity. Excellent viewing angles, color coverage and decent brightness on this large 17.3 inch panel. Decent performance. The combination of a shiny new 10th gen i7-10510U CPU, 16GB of memory and a fast M.2 drive gives power users a polished laptop for medium to heavy application usage. Upgrade options. The G7 is flexible when it comes to upgradability with a 2.5 inch SATA drive bay, M.2 NVMe drive support and dual channel memory twin slots. Shame you have to jump over several hoops to open it up. Poor build quality. The chassis on the 470 is made entirely of plastic with no premium feature. This wouldn't be too bad, but the fitting material is not up to snuff. The lid scratched easily when we had it and buckled under little pressure. It's big. The majority of people will expect the 470 G7 to be big in dimensions and heavy, but don't expect to move the G7 at all. It's not at all portable due to its ungainly proportions. Definitely a desktop replacement laptop. No USB Type-C. It's a small nitpicking point, but nowadays I would expect a USB Type-C port with something priced like the 470 G7. Plus the vast ocean space not occupied by a CD drive, why not have a fourth USB Type-A port instead? If you were in the market for a 17-inch laptop, what other laptops would you be looking at? In no particular order, here are some to consider. Dell XPS 17 2020. Dell Inspiron 17 3000. LG Gram 17. Asus VivoBook 17, Lenovo IdealPad L 340 17-inch AMD, HP Envy 17, HP ZBook 17G6. The HP 470 G7 is somewhat of a disappointment. Internally, it has the horsepower in the Comet Lake i7-10510U CPU, and visually we have an excellent 17.3-inch IPS panel with good brightness levels and color coverage. However, HP have cut corners with the 470 G7. It's poorly made with cheap materials used throughout. Upgrading the G7 is a pain to open up compared to the easy maintenance cover of the previous model. The keys have a cheap plastic feel to them, and for the size of the chassis, HP could have made the touchpad bigger and provide a few more I/O ports, along with a bigger battery to extend the somewhat average battery life on the 470. If you must have a 17.3-inch screen above anything else, the 470 G7 is not bad. Otherwise, there are better options for your money. What do you guys think? Leave your comments and discuss below. Hope you guys enjoyed the review of the HP 470 G7 laptop. Please click on the like button if you enjoyed this review video, and subscribe if you would like to watch more of our tech videos. Thanks for watching. Cheers.